The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Valspar Championship Picks, bets, one and done, everything for you. Remember to smash the like button in the video. Give me your favorite, with the one guy at the top of the board you're not betting this week. I mean, there's probably a ton that you're not betting this week, but the one guy you are just staying absolutely away from who is a betting favorite at the Valspar Championship. Remember to smash like, put that in the comment, and sub to Mayo Media Network. Also, I'll probably do a twofer this week in the newsletter because I forgot to run over the model and everything like that on the research show, which you can still go check out, by the way. There's still a ton of information in there about the Valspar Championship. So remember to subscribe to the free Mayo Media newsletter. Find that in the description of the video and podcast, as you can find the Listeners League link on DraftKings this week as well. $15 to play, 3 max entry, no rake, making it the best tournament on DraftKings. There's a ton of stuff up on Mayo Media and the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast right now. There's a gigantic mock draft that was, we're pretty proud of it. A lot of interactive graphics. It's really, really long because we actually go through each of the teams and break them all down. There's draft props with myself, Elliot Chris, Tim Andicust, and Geoff Fienberg, who's in studio with me.
You did a great job on that draft show, and it really is.
Keep going.
Okay, sorry, I got really distracted there. I thought we had a critical error. Not like Paul's fat thumb, which usually has me sending bad text messages often. But no, I thought you did a great job. Like, just as an example, the Chargers were the 13th pick. I loaded up the second show and I got really anxious. I just wanted to sort of get to my cheddar, right? And I'm like skimming, and I'm skimming. And you're still not there. Like, you're putting in the time with each team. So,
but you can check the time codes if you want and just jump to your team.
Yes, of course. But I like seeing the lead up too, even though the big board would have flashed it. I like hearing a nugget on each thing. But yeah, no, I'm into it. You always seem to put out the right content.
Yeah,
so
and I don't know anything about the draft, so it's really good to have two people on who now I can like pretend to be a draft expert to like the people in my life who know nothing about the draft. It's like, oh yeah, let me tell you about this guy who might go 27th overall. Like, now I at least know the names. I'm no draft expert.
No, I don't know anything. I love the draft. I cannot wait for Thursday. I am super excited.
Are you excited for Tim's mock draft that he said he was going to put out?
Yeah.
Because now he has almost backed off completely. He tried to put one together last night, and in our text there, he's like, as it turns out, he doesn't know 32 names to put together a mock draft. Yet he said he was going to go 32 for 32 in his picks and didn't think that was unreasonable.
So he's bailing?
It sounds like he's bailing. So people should
What
put
if he
pressure
should just
on...
do a T15?
No, people need to put pressure on... at Tim Anderson 87 on Twitter. Hey, TC, excited for the mock, and pressure him into do it. Because he talked a big fucking game about his mock draft.
Okay.
And now he doesn't want to do it because he's scared.
But I think he could still hook us a top 10.
No, he needs to do them all. He came on, he said,
If he does,
go back and listen to the show.
yeah, I listened to it, but he's just going to plagiarize. So
I don't care. Put one out.
Sure.
Cowardly. What else do we got here? FantasyNational.com/Mayo for 20% off. All the tools, all the stats, all the info you need for golf. PGA Championship is obviously coming up, so go check that out. Mock draft, NFL draft. Oh, I'm profitable in the golf betting world. I got a lot of money in my account. Not thanks to me whatsoever. Well, maybe thanks to me. Because I commissioned a show with Skylar Hoke and Tom Jacobs talking about European Tour bets. They give us a 70 to 1 with John Catlin 2 weeks ago. Garrick Higo coming through 35 to 1 again this week. Back-to-back winners, which means that the bet this week is just bet Guido. Because that's Sky's guy. He's going for the turkey. Guido at 30 to 1 or 35 to 1, whatever he's at. He had a bad Sunday, too, because I actually bet him last week as well. He was very much in the mix. No bogeys on Sunday, but he only shot -1, which is really strange. So Guido, 35 to 1, that's the bet this week, for me at least. You can tune in. That comes out Monday evening, so you can tune into that to get like the rest of the card, but I'm excited.
Yeah, bless Sky. Bless him.
And
I didn't get those 70 on Catlin. I got like the night of, like the Wednesday night 40, but I don't know.
Whatever. It's a winner.
I had a winner. I was pretty happy. And even yesterday, that was great. Higo.
Oh, Higo, yeah. Higo was fucking lights out, man.
And you got a feel for this Harris English wannabe. this Max Kiefer doing his like Harris English summer 2020 impression.
Oh
the
my
last
god!
2
Just
weeks.
like he comes up short on his second shot on the I think it was the 16th, the super easy hold. It was just like he's 2, but he's 3 back. It's like okay, we're good here. He's not going to make a charge. Chips in. It's like oh god, is this going to happen?
No, but do you say he set the record for like low back-to-back event like scores or something?
Back-to-back T2s. Tough go for him.
Like feels like the summer of Harris English. So maybe he can peak, but I don't know. He's been on the tour for 9 years. And Higo to 2 wins? What a horse. What a little horse.
Higo now has been
What's like the actual ceiling on this guy? Because I'm not going to plan to pretend I know. I'm just tailing the picks. I'm not going to pretend I like have the background on him or acknowledge or know that he's some big prospect. I got no clue, but
he's one of the
when
few,
he wins, he looks amazing.
Yeah,
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, he's one of the few Euro guys that I actually pay attention to.
He's South African.
Well, European Tour players. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. He's a lefty. He's 21.
Yeah.
He has 5 wins the past 3 years, which is pretty impressive for a 21-year-old. They're not good wins. Like he won Dope End to Portugal, and he's winning this event when all the good Euro players are over stateside. However, his career reminds me of Matt Wallace's, in just he gets these, like he wins. And regardless of the event that you're in, like if it was so easy to win even these lesser events, Tony Finau would have 21 wins.
I would like to say something. I could be wrong, but I think this win, in terms of what I saw the pre-tournament field at, was stronger than, no disrespect to a guy who's shown himself very nicely. Bez Udenhode's back-to-back, like,
South Africa.
Same course wins.
Yeah, and I think those were in South Africa, weren't they?
Yeah, they might have been, but this field had some
it had names that we know, but no, there was
Rafa, Sullivan.
Yeah, there was no good
listen,
names.
The only thing that came out of this
Thorbjorn, like all of a sudden is
this
back
win
up.
actually might cost me money, because when things all get back to normal, firstly, I'm not a traveler. The places I travel, Pat, are the places I've been my whole life.
But you want to go to the Canary Islands
like
now?
Florida, San Diego. Like I'm really just need like not.
I'm the opposite. I love going to these places.
Because I'm very like particular. I'm a baby.
You want to have your fast food chains that you
Oh,
can go
there's just
to?
a lot. There's just a lot of things I need. I don't like the unknowns where like that could excite you.
It
Like-
does excite me. I
Eating like an
my
eyeball.
My single favorite thing to do traveling, like I like to go to big cities.
Just to
not
Google map them and say you've been there.
Yeah, it's just like Tim does. But like when I went to Reykjavik and I went to Copenhagen, like we got an Airbnb downtown in the city, and it wasn't going to see all the historical sites or anything like that. We just spent the day
Just
walking
like-
around
yeah.
the city, going to different places, eating. Like
I'd rather walk Boston.
fair enough. I mean, I've done that a bunch of times too.
Yeah,
but
you've been
at the same
forced
time,
there,
it's fun to go explore. Like that's what interests me in travel.
Okay.
I know that's not for everyone.
But now, like with COVID, my wife's been all, and I love, my like history in terms of like my recently watched is like pretty like random stuff. Like the most like, it's like South Park and like war documentaries or like just random things. So I'm very much into like history and would like that part of it. So COVID has like made me really thinking that like, yeah, we're gonna like do something. And just seeing that golf course, like, oh, Spain, that's where we'll go.
Well, I went to the final leg of my honeymoon was in Morocco. And we couldn't afford to do like the day trip into Casablanca with like the private guy to drive you around because you want that. I was very unfamiliar with what really goes on. The people at the resort were like, "You need to like go do this stuff," and I was like, "We really want to do it, but we couldn't spend like the $2,000 that it cost to go do it. Maybe if I hit another like Euro winner, we can get back there and actually go explore Casablanca because that's where we flew into. A lot of cats in the airport, but it looked like a pretty cool city, very historic city, obviously. The only reason I'm talking about Euro so much is because I watched 4,000% more Euro this weekend than I watched the stupid team event, which is fine in concept. Just I can't really get into it. But there was a moment on Sunday because I had 3 teams that were at -15 and -16 going into Sunday. I was like, oh, with the 67, they could get themselves into it. And I did the $1 doubles with like all the Euro bets and all the PGA bets. I was like, if somehow Stallings and Garnett or Gim and Suh or Hoffman and Watney can win this thing, like I'm going to be rich here, even off a $1 bet. I think a few of them paid like $4K, $5K. And I got super excited when Garnett and Stallings started birdie, and then just completely imploded. It was a real bad Sunday in Zurich for me.
I was surprised no one, like that it was actually the final pairing. that no one really put a charge in there.
The only two,
Because the Werenski U-line team posted.
Hatton and Willett made a run too. They doubled the 18th, but they were right there.
Because you knew it was gonna. I expected a bit of a shit show on Sunday. I didn't watch any of the best ball, like not a second. I didn't even like tracking. I really didn't even track best ball until the day was over because it's kind of tilting to see your guy at the bottom, but they have like more than half their round to play.
Well, that's what
so
happened.
I hate the leaderboard of best ball because it's very it's not telling in many ways, I guess you would say.
And it's really hard to extract too much from it, too, because if one guy is in a really good position, the partner might get super aggressive with their spot, with their shot, and be like, oh, he flew it 50 yards over this par 5. It's like, oh, yeah, because he was going for it. Like, it doesn't matter.
But I love alternate shot. I think that personifies sports at its finest. Almost like to think that they should really find a way to make it part of the Olympics or something, even if it's just like a 2-day alternate shot. I don't even know how long is the actual event, even 4 days?
I believe it's 4 days. Yeah.
I like it really just personifies sport. I understand for people not liking the week because how it affects your ability to project on modeling for DraftKings or even wagerings.
And it's not fun to gamble either. Like the 6-6 percentage on DraftKings this week was less than 1%.
Yeah, it wasn't very fun. But I don't know. When I watched, I got into it. There's some people. I think our boy Ehrlich touted.
And Joe came on the show this week. On the DraftKings show, he's like, yeah, you want to bet the Aussies. Those are the guys to bet.
Yeah, and I feel like I bet them at the Templeton thing at like this at even a bigger number than they were this week, which I guess is weird looking back on it.
That can't be true if there's only 12 teams in that field.
No, they were like 12-1 to win that thing.
Oh, interesting. Anyway, Finau melted down. Even winner personified Cameron Champ couldn't, he has double the amount of wins on the PGA Tour.
Champ was the one struggling.
I'm just joking. But Champ has double the wins of Finau.
Yeah, listen, Finau was in a total lose-lose. If he wins, it's like he's not going to get
real win.
Any credit. And if he loses but like came close or lost in the playoff, if it was his water ball on like a playoff, he'd have been like just a loser. So he's a total lose-lose. And you felt that way sometimes even going into like Finau the morning of the Minnesota. And you kind of felt, or was it it
was Minnesota.
Yeah,
when Michael Thompson won.
And you felt that way even the morning of Amex. Like, okay, I really want Finau to win, but if he wins, then I'm going to have to battle the quality of the win. Like, this felt like that times infinity. That being said, this format, that alternate shot, it takes everything from both guys, despite them having to not hit every ball. I understand how you pay it out and you split the points, but it's not a gimmick win to me. Like, chalk it up because it's an impressive win.
Yeah, when you're someone like Cameron Smith, you go for the green and one, dunk it in the water, then Leishman's like, oh no, I'll chip in for birdie. Don't worry about it.
Yes, you feel for those guys. You feel for those two.
Well, it would have been good for Charles because, he needs his tour card.
He needs his tour card. Louis never won in North America. It was, they couldn't make good on a couple situations.
So back to Higo for a second. Again, I think that the resume looks a lot like Matt Wallace's. And I tweeted out just like, he's 21, he has 5 wins. Like, this is great. And someone just instantly like, oh, what is he, like the next superstar? Like, you're talking a pretty big game about this guy who beat a bunch of scrubs. Like, I'm not calling him a superstar. I'm excited to see him finally come over. I think he's up to number 67 in the world rankings. Maybe he still has a shot if he wins again this week to sneak into the PGA Championship. And there's a couple courses that kind of set up really well for him. We've seen South Africans, by and large, play pretty well when they come over. Charles comes over and wins the Masters. Louis has been a fixture for the past decade. Grace comes over and wins. Zadenhout has looked pretty good in some of these starts. Harding comes top 10.
EVR surprisingly hasn't done as...
that's what he gets for going to America for university.
Yeah, I guess. No, you're absolutely right.
But Higo is a 21, and here's the key, lefty that's coming over, which makes 2 events particularly interesting for him once he gets his sea legs underneath of him. One is obviously the Masters, which we kind of identified that every lefty made the cut there this year. It plays to that, the match play, because he should be able to get himself into the match play next year. Another course where left-handers have done exceptionally well over time, advancing out of their group stage. I'm not going to say he's going to win match play, but when he's the number 4 seed in match play next year, just bet on him to win the group. I don't
Okay.
care who he's against.
A couple things. Unless I'm wrong and I misheard, I could tell, like, to the naked eye, he absolutely crushes the ball off the tee. But it seems like he's a very refined putter. And I'm not just talking about, oh, I saw him win on Saturday and Sunday, played well. We see lots of guys putt well that win that aren't good putters. The announcers made it seem like for his age, he's an incredible putter. So if he has that distance and that short stick, I mean, match play, that's how you win match play. I'm not saying Billy laid up a lot, and I guess there are lots of ways at Austin to win match play, but incredible. And I guess if I could talk to Sky, and I could anytime I want, I guess on my own show, I would like to know what the ranking of those, because okay, we acknowledge like Bobby Mack is like big time in a sense potentially, but like where does like
hold on. There's a thing too where this is sort of like a Hideki Ricky situation too with McIntyre versus Higo.
I'm not comparing him to Higo, just in general, like Højgaard, and there's a lot of
no. But you said that like Bobby Mack is sort of the level up. He's the level up because he's a Scottish player. He's in the British media, like he gets hyped that way versus a South African player or a Danish player. Whereas we always used to say that like Hideki's better than Ricky, but Ricky gets all the pub because he's American, not Japanese. It's one of those things, I think, at least.
Okay,
but Bobby Mack, I mean, he just came top 12 at the Masters.
Yeah. At the moment, like okay, fine. I'm not sure. I've assumed Bobby Mack is a bit more of like a higher ceiling prospect.
He might be. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I do not know. So I'm also acknowledging that. But also, like, it was, what was it, not too long ago? It's like, oh, Højgaard is this like next. So, like, which ones are actually the ones with the true, like, amateur pedigree, and which ones are just sort of in this lightning bottle? Maybe I have no idea.
No, and I'm excited to see how some of this comes out. When are we going to get Guido over? Maybe he'll win this week, and then he'll come over stateside.
Someone was in the field this week. You know who's in the field this week?
Sam Horsfield.
Yeah, I saw. I was just looking through the board.
Yeah, no finish worse than 15th in any start on the Euro Tour this year. Now, granted, those are the bad fields, but he has 3 top 10s and a T15.
And in watching Sunday, he leads the tour, the European Tour. He has over 8 greens around 1 putts. Now, I don't know whether that's incredible par saves, but it was an incredible stat. His 1 putt percentage is ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying it's all birdies. And we know some of those stats are finicky because, like, he could have been putting from the fringe and then a tap in from an inch. They're calling a 1 putt. It's hard to gauge, but they put the stat on the broadcast, and it impressed me.
Sure. Oh yeah. You can, well, if you think that like shot length data is bad when you're going through like the PGA Tour, just imagine like with the shot strokes gained data on the European Tour for the magical Kenya opener. They're not great.
Yeah. I will say it does seem important though. This is not a joke. And I guess a lot of the teams probably do come together due to friendship. Both teams in that playoff, Pat, were friends. We know Rahm and Palmer, friends. We've seen Kisner and Brown.
They fucking let me down. They were the guy. But even someone like Watney and Hoffman who just continue to play well at this event.
No, friends. If they're not friends and have like a relationship, you don't want to bet them. And granted, I think 80% of the field are friends to an extent. Even kept hearing about the team Purdue.
Yeah.
Gooch and Shank. But I don't know. There's a relationship to a certain extent.
Did you? And I mean, no one is better friends. I mean, it was really a 3-person team with Bubba, Scheffler, and Jesus because that's how they met. That prayer group.
Prayer group. Listen, I don't. Whatever.
I think it was
tour
funny.
Season's long.
Some guys meeting like their college roommates, other guys meet at the prayer circle. It's not put it this way, not where I would be meeting people.
No, not at all. Yeah, but they're buddies.
Sure. Announcement time before we get into the Valspar. Now, people will say, Pat, I listen to every second of every show. I'm the biggest fan you have. And then next week, when there is no golf show on Monday, those same people will be like, where's the golf show? I've already mentioned this a bunch of times. This is the final show that we are doing in studio together for the golf show. We're hoping to have a golf show for Quail Hollow next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm moving. I'm getting set up in a new place. We're going to start doing this online, not in studio together. So it's the end of an era to a certain extent, but it's not like the show's going anywhere. We're still going to be doing the show.
there will be.
We're gonna have
shows
times where, listen, once the pandemic is, once we both get our vaccines and we're good to travel again, we'll be doing a lot more shows together from that side too. But for the moment, next Monday, the Custy Awards, which we are filming directly after this show, will be out. So that's the best show of the year.
Yes.
I think everyone agrees that is the best Pat Mayo Experience episode every single year. That is next Monday, so we're just going to push golf back a day, and hopefully Paul and I can get our tech sorted out at my new house. We already have the internet in, so we just need all of our equipment to show up in time in order to actually do the show. And fuck it, if it's not there in time, we can still do an audio pod and still throw it up on YouTube if people are looking for it. But do not tell me you're a fan of the show and then ask me where the golf show is next Monday. Just don't do it.
They're going to do it.
I know. Listen, it happens every single time I go on vacation, which is like once every 3 years. So I have a full complement of content. I got Wiley lined up. We've already recorded that. Nathan Hubbard, who is Mark Hubbard's brother. He's also the former CEO of Ticketmaster, was one of the first people at Twitter, from Rivals. We've got those two guys on a show together, talk about the future of golf. You and I have recorded a show in advance, the mid-season awards for the PGA Tour. Plus, I have like 4 special shows with other people that are coming out. Oh, Owning Mahoney. If you haven't watched Owning Mahoney yet, that is the first movie in our gambling movie club. That will come out probably next Friday. We've already recorded it with Davis and Pete. So, just go to YouTube, type in Owning Mahoney, and you can watch it up there if you can't find it anywhere else. Anyway, those are the announcements that I wanted to get through. Let's talk about Valspar. I love this course. It's funny that, I put this in my article on DK Playbook this week, that no tournament, we always talk about like, oh man, Honda got fucked with the new schedule. And like Pebble gets fucked because Riviera is a thing now and no one wants to go. Valspar is the only tournament I can think of that has benefited the most since the restructuring of the schedule, because no longer is it sandwiched on one end by a WGC with the players and a WGC and the masters around it. It is the logical Florida tournament to skip. Now it's 5 weeks later, and it's like kind of perfect prep for the PGA Championship because you have the stupid team event. A lot of people don't want to play Heritage the week after the Masters. So you have this, and next week at Quail Hollow, no one's playing Byron Nelson. So this is one of the logical ones, and we're seeing it reflected in the field now. The field's really good.
Yeah. As you said, this was one of the big winners, I guess, of the schedule flip. They gained in the ways other tournaments lost.
I really think that this would be an awesome U.S. Open course. It would be impossible to play the U.S. Open here because Florida in the middle of June, you would probably have more players have to withdraw from heat stroke than actually finish under par at the event. But this is a perfect course for it. It's a par 71.
Narrow.
There's 5 par 3s. There's 4 par 5s. Tree lined all the way up. I mean, Hadwin shot minus 14 here, which is incredible. The year that we hit him at 100-1. That was a nice win for us.
We've been at or near the finish line a few times.
But
Paul Casey
the Paul Casey Open
has come up.
Casey -8, -10 the last 2 years. He's the 2-time defending champ. Charles won at -7 the year before that. Spieth beat O'Hare and Reed in a playoff the year before that at -10. Like, this is a tough course, man. The cut line hasn't been under par. I looked all the way back to 2003. Nothing under par. Now it's top 65 in ties for the first time ever at this event because it wasn't played last season. So expect carnage out there, man. This is a tough course.
Florida can play major championship golf.
No, we know that. But
they do.
But they get such a gravy spot on the schedule anyway, and then like moving the players, which is obviously going to be in Florida. They just get so many events that it's tough to have a major in Florida.
Absolutely. This also the tournament, Pat. I think it would beat the Amex, and we could backtrack that one, in the most sponsorships that we've experienced, except that one in Texas that even went to like Dean and DeLuca.
And then we didn't know what that was for like 2 years.
But this was like, it's been a lot of things.
The Transitions Championship, when Luke Donald won it, and Kevin Streelman won it, I think.
Yeah.
There was one in between. I think it was just called the Tampa Bay Open one year.
Tampa Bay Open.
Yeah, it's been a lot of things.
A lot of them. And these Valspar caddy hats, see them all. Apparently they give money to caddies.
Sweet. Yeah.
Like they supported Caddy Fund.
Valspar was during the pandemic when golf first shut down, because this was one of the first events that just got wiped off because it was in late March, that they put a fund together to pay the caddies.
But even historically, because I've always wondered why all throughout the year I see the caddies wearing the Valspar hats that they usually get at this tournament. And then someone hit me up to say. So that's useless information when people just want to know what I might be betting.
Strokes gained
Or
approach.
fade me.
Strokes gained approach. Par threes gained 200 to 225 yards. Good drives gained. Short game and 400 to 450 yard par fours were like the key stats that I put in. Once again, if you sub to the free newsletter in the description of the video in BOD, I think I'll put that on Monday night so people can kind of get a head start to see. I mean, listen, obviously I don't win often, so you might want to fade what I'm doing, but I can at least show you what I'm looking at when I'm talking through like how I have people ranked, and maybe you want to fuck around with it on Fantasy National and make it better than mine. But it's at least, I think, a decent starting point. I walk through it on the walk through the major stats that I'm looking at on the research show, which you can go get right now. Let's jump into these odds because kind of intriguing. And I know you got a lot to say about one of them, but I have sort of a rebuttal to that. But we're looking at Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson, the two co-favorites, 10-1 and 16-1. Then the third best player in the field, Corey Connors, is 16-1. Patrick Reed is 18-1. Casey and Vic, 22-1. Hatton, 25. M, 28. Answer and Henley, both 30-1. These odds are from DraftKings Sportsbook. Obviously, it's different at every single sportsbook that you look at. Some places have Connors behind Reed. DraftKings Sportsbook has Connors ahead of Reed. Some places have Thomas at 8-1 and DJ at 12-1 or 10-1 and 10-1. A lot of varying numbers this week. It seems to be kind of scattershotted around the board. So you can go search for a really good number if you want to. My 3 comments about the board so far. I bet Tyrrell Hatton at 28-1. I haven't had a lot of success betting the PGA champion or the PGA recently, but both the times that I have hit winners and like big winners so far this year, I was buying a dip on Brooks in Phoenix, and I bought the dip on Morikawa at the WGC. I am going to buy the dip on Hatton at 28-1. He's the number 8 ranked player in the world, and he's sneakily playing a whole lot better. He finally overcame all of his struggles at the Masters, came T18. He came T39 at the Heritage, but the tee to green numbers were fantastic. They were back what I want to see out of Hatton. The putter let him down. That's fine. We know that when he's running well, the putts drop. He already has a win in Florida, and he was still top 10 at this team event with Willett. And when I went back and looked through the best ball, guess who was carrying that team?
Shocking.
It wasn't Danny Willett.
Shocking. Yeah.
So
No.
I think it's a good number on Hatton. We'll get to Corey Connors in a second. But no one is going to bet Paul Casey this week. It's just that it's what's going to happen. No one bet Paul Casey in his second win. No one bet him the first time. And then everyone's like, Paul Casey, he's not going to win twice. He wins again. He's just hanging there at 22-1. Everyone just bet him to win the Players. They just bet him to win the Masters. And now you get back at a course where he actually wins, and I guarantee you no one wants to bet him.
Yeah, I bet him at the Masters, and I bet him at the Players.
But would you bet him here?
I've been thinking about it, but it could feel forced. Not as forced as maybe some other bets in this range could feel, but I don't know. 3 times in a row? Like, who's he, Matt Every? Every 2,
No,
right?
he did 2. I think it was Stricker did the 3
Like,
at John Deere.
I know there was a gap. That just seems like a huge ask, but
He's playing great.
He's playing probably better than he was on those other 2. I mean, he always seems to play pretty consistent. He can flame out a week.
He just did at Heritage.
And I'm sure he did it leading into that win at some point. He
yeah.
had that great Pebble finish,
No,
right?
no, it's because the reason that no one bet him the last time around, I believe, because everyone bet him at the Players. Remember, he took like a 12 on 17.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's exactly how it normally works with this guy. I love the Hatton bet. Now, I've bet Hatton a lot in 2021, Pat, at numbers I feel are inflated, and there have been a lot of swing and misses.
That's fine. We're betting guys to win. You're not going to win all that often.
I understand that. I'm certainly not winning that often at the moment, like you when it comes to PGA. Thank you, Sky, for just keeping.
Yeah, tune into the Euro Picks and Bet show Monday evenings on Mayo Media Network. Subscribe to the channel.
I don't. This has turned into like this whole thing about me versus Corey Connors. I like Corey Connors a lot. We were in the lead up to this tournament. How many times, literally in the past month, as a joke of part of a different show, did I ask you to guess what his number would be this week? More than once. I did that. So people like try to make this into like freaking Canadian. Like, I'm into Corey Connors. But no, this is.
Yeah, I'm also into Corey Connors. I'm not into Corey Connors 16-1, and it's not a reflection because I think the big juxtaposition that you can look at is Connors is 2 points ahead of Reed in the betting market, which
he's 6 points behind the number 1 and 2 players in the world. God damn it!
But this is not a reflection of how much you think that Corey Conners is going to win or what his perceived win equity is. It is, what are people actually going to bet on? And it's sort of like a Xander effect in a weird way based on this tournament, based on him coming in and the success that he's had at this tournament.
His name value is through
the roof
right now.
And people will look at it. I mean, people don't like to bet on Patrick Reed anyway. That's why you always get good numbers on Patrick Reed. But your casual golf fan who wants to throw down $50 betting on someone this tournament, they're going to bet on Justin Thomas or they're going to bet on Corey Conners because Dustin's been bad. I don't like Patrick Reed. And every time I've watched Corey Conners play in the past 3 months, he's been fucking incredible. That's the reason.
I'm just here. I'm not, and I want to say I've seen a 25.
That's a better number. That's bettable.
That is bettable. That is something to discuss. That puts him in a tier where maybe he belongs with, where you could debate it. This is just a not debate. And I'm not even running to bet Patrick Reed. I haven't bet Patrick Reed. But if I had to bet Corey Conners or Patrick Reed to win this tournament, one of them has a win this year. One of them's also finished second here before. Like, I feel like Conners has a great... Conners played with Woods. It was probably the first KC win. That Reed 3-putted 18 to miss a playoff. Ugh, still pissed me off.
My guy Snedeker, I had Snedeker money that year too, and he was right there.
But Conners was there. He was... wasn't he playing with Woods? Or maybe Woods was there too. That was like the first actual contending Woods.
Yeah, I don't know if he played with... I think Tiger played with Snedeker.
Or maybe.
I think Conners was with Reed.
Maybe they were just tied on the leaderboard.
They were tied on the leaderboard. But Conners ended up finishing like 13th that year. But he was in like the second to final group.
And he does that a lot! I love Corey Conners. And his stats, his ball striking are Zalatoris and Thomas level. And the greens are small. And the number is what it is for a consortium of reasons. His name value is high. His course history is strong. And everything he does well plays absolutely perfectly for this course. I could even find my messages in a buddy who doesn't really bet golf. But he likes golf. He plays golf exponentially more than he would watch or bet it. Sends me his Masters, says, I'm betting Corey Conners for the Masters. And even this was like 2 days before the Masters. I replied, don't bet him to win the Masters. You just bet him at the Valspar, at 1/4 the number. So this isn't like a secret. But I don't know. I guess I sent out a tweet today, I'm anti-Conners, whatever.
Well, past 5 starts, 3rd, 7th, 14th, 8th, and 4th.
Incredible.
But here's the real key to all of it, because the ball striking has been amazing, but the reason that you see these inflated finishes, Conners has gained over 2 strokes putting in 5 consecutive events. Has he figured it out? Because if he's figured it out, he's a legit top 20 player in the world. If he's not losing 5 strokes every second event on the greens, he's an actual legit guy who deserves to be this number. But just based on what we've seen, it's tough to parse.
And even people are like, how do I put this? He can't, I see him miss these clutch Sunday putts, which are probably true, but you're also seeing him make he's on TV on Sunday, so you're just actually seeing them.
Yeah.
As opposed to a time where you didn't see them.
Yeah,
and he's also making putts on TV that he never made on TV before, too.
Yeah,
that goes along with missing putts on TV.
You really have no idea what Russell Henley's up to, because he finishes T17 every week.
Yeah, I'm a proud Canadian. I'm proud of Corey Conners. Brooke Henderson just got her 10th win, which I think is the most ever for any modern era professional Canadian.
Oh, that puts her ahead of Lori Kane?
I forget Weir was at 8. I forget who was at 9. It was probably Lori Kane. LPGA, I don't know if it's a little trick, but the finishing on Saturdays does it for me.
I think that's a smart move. It's just I have far more interest in the Corn Ferry Tour when they run those Sunday to Wednesday events.
Love those. Corey Conners, of course Corey Conners can win. Absolutely he can win. But I don't want to bet him at this number. To me, he's closer to a Scheffler. He's probably closer to Kokrak, but he probably should be priced closer to Scheffler.
Well, that's a very good name to bring up because I feel out of all the players in this kind of range, I feel like Kokrak is severely undervalued this week at 40-1. I thought that he was going to be 25-1.
And he does a lot of the same things. And I'm going to be doing this thing again. And I got to be anti-Conners. I'll hit myself again. Just to get it on film. But I don't want to be anti-Conners. But we did a show that's going to drop next week where we just parse some PGA stuff. And we did the same thing. It's like the guys that are double Corey Connors odds now to win the PGA Championship
Or just as good.
are just as good and then literally have just the same chance of winning. And you could argue probably more. Like you could argue, as we did there, like a sneak peek, you could probably argue Siwoo Kim actually has a better chance of winning the PGA Championship than Corey Connors.
Yeah.
Not to top 5.
Or a head-to-head.
Or a head-to-head. Not to be a better DraftKings start potentially, but to win. Siwoo's had some beautiful finishes this year. Siwoo actually won this year.
And he has 3 wins.
What's he doing? Like, there's a lot of players right now on the tour that I think are doing very similar things to Corey Connors, but aren't getting nearly the hype that he's getting. He is doing them better. He's doing things at almost like a Zalatoris level with those irons, Pat. And these greens are small. So if he's playing well, he's not going to have to scramble. But if I want to bet on a player who's playing well, who won't have to scramble, I'd probably rather bet on Hovland, I think.
Potentially. I think the biggest comp, it's funny we kind of bring up Connors because his game is very Paul Casey-esque. Like that's what makes him such a good fit for this course. Obviously, the short game for Casey is substantially better than the short game for Connors, but he's improving his chipping and he's improving his putting, just like we saw Vic go through. Vic is not a disaster around the greens because he chips in every second hole now. He either chips it into the water or he chips it in the hole.
The stats look a lot different when you're like holing out like that.
Sure, but I think the best comp for Connors in his type of game is Answer. Like he's now become the better version of Abraham
for
Answer.
sure.
Like on President's Cup's team, those two guys should play together.
Let's go.
Alternate shot, chuck them together.
Let's go.
Because they kind of suffer from the same thing. Like they're not the longest guys off the tee, but they hit so many fairways, it doesn't really make a difference. They both get locked in with their irons. Connor's better with his irons. Until recently, Answer was a much better short game and putter, but I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right now. Connors is either on the heater of a lifetime on the greens, or he has figured something out.
Who would you rather bet? Like Scheffler at 30-1.
Scheffler, I would. I mean, I'm not betting Scheffler, but if you're going to give me Scheffler at the way that I look at it,
Niemann at 30. I know,
but that's not the name. Hatton's the name that is like double the odds of Corey Connors. So I'm going to bet Hatton.
You're right. And again, you this is golf. You line shop it. Maybe I'm looking at books. I mean, this one in DraftKings particular, but maybe go find one of the deep English books that might have Hatton at 22 and Connors at 27.
Sure.
We work on a book that's out of Scandinavia. It's got the shortest Hovland number
every week
in the market.
It's just
every
like,
week.
There's a Canadian book that we use too, and like Mackenzie Hughes is like probably like 20-1.
I know. Yeah, I know the book. I'm sure that makes total sense.
The odds are dictated on the action that they're going to take on these people. If no one is betting Corey Connors at 16-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook, he's going to go to 22 super quickly. That's just going to happen.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the tournament starts and he's 22 and Hatton's 22. Or
sure.
Connors 20.
I mean, the real move on Hatton, because his first rounds have been an abject disaster so far in 2021. Yeah. That's just, don't bet him right now at 28-1. Wait a day when he's like 3 over after the first round, then just bet him at 125-1.
Maybe.
But if he has a good first round, watch out.
If he shoots 1 under in the first round, can he come to the course angry like he shot 75 the day before?
I mean, Michael Jordan can trick himself into anything. Why can't Tyrrell Hatton?
I'm here for it. And I'm here for a Corey Connors win. Like, I wouldn't be cheering against Connors. I'll take your 200 tweets. That doesn't mean anything on my back, unless he's going to beat a guy that I
you
bet
have.
on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to cheer for Corey Connors. I'm not here to bet on Corey Connors at a number that, I don't know, I'm just repeating myself. It's the same number as Patrick freaking Reed, man.
I hear it.
And Reed might be in the trees on day 1 and be 6 over, and like you can laugh at me.
Yeah,
but Reed could finish last. That's not my point either.
Yeah, it's not. You're not talking about playing Connor or Reed over Connors in a head-to-head.
Don't want any of that smoke. That smoke I don't want, and I ain't talking about building your DFS lineup.
What you're saying is that if you just have to bet on one guy to win, which we are talking about, that Patrick Reed, just the proven track record of winning events, and now especially at hard courses too, and this is a hard course.
And now we're going to cross 30-1, and there's probably the next 6 guys you're going to name I could make the case have the exact same chances as Corey Connors to win.
Well, yes, but I feel like we should talk about 2 guys that are in this tournament that are the number 1 and 2 players in the world.
Fair, worth. Who
Listen,
are they?
We never really bet on the favorites here, but Dustin and JT are both in this event.
More line value for Dustin when you factor in the Masters odds and his
yeah.
big U.S. Open odds and PGA Championship odds. And he's won club down before. It's not like he can't club down and like eat your soul.
No, and he's played well at this tournament in the past too. I think that this might just be more prep for him for the PGA Championship as well. I think that's why he's playing these tournaments, to figure it out. But if you go look at his like stats, you can clearly see where the struggles are coming in. And the Heritage was kind of strange because he finished top 20 at Heritage, but he gained 5.1 strokes off the tee. It was the first time he had really spiked in driving in a really long time. Like, the driving wasn't bad, but it wasn't elite like you expect from Dustin. And all of a sudden it's back to being elite. He's putting the lights out right now, but the approaches continue to kill him. And that's why he is playing poorly. Like, if he gains even like 2 strokes on approach this week, watch out, because once it reverses and he gets it back, all of a sudden everyone else is on notice. But we've seen Dustin go through these lulls before, and Dustin's one of these players where I would like to go back and see when Dustin wins like for the first time in a bit, that how many like wins that he can not consecutively put together, but like reel off over like the next 6 weeks. Because he seems to be a guy who wins in bunches.
Always.
A lot. Like when he gets hot, he starts getting super
hot.
Whereas someone like Reed and even someone like Justin Thomas, like they're going to get their wins. I mean, Thomas is going to lurk far more often than Reed does, because Reed's game.
Reed can win with no form.
Yeah, well, Reed kind of breaks stat models because just, are you in on Patrick Reed or are you out on Patrick Reed? You know that he wins enough that you should be in, but if you look at the numbers, you're like, how does this guy ever fucking win? But he does. I'm fading Thomas, not because I don't think he can't win. He could most definitely win. But I do feel like the driving is an issue for him still, and this is a course where if you're slightly off, you're in the middle of the fucking trees.
I agree. I guess my only question would be, like, because you wanted to bring them up, so which one of the two? Because people do like to bet favorites.
Dustin.
There it is. Done. And also to Reed. We could start to make the case, Pat, and it might sound silly. This is not the events you bet Patrick Reed. You don't bet Patrick Reed at 18, 16 to 1. You wait for everyone to be there, and he's 35, 40, because that's where he wins. Because where has he won lately? It hasn't been any of, and he plays a lot. He plays a lot. For a player of his world ranking, there are probably very few players in the world ranked ahead of him who play more. Like, we agree on that. Maybe more account. Like, I don't know.
I mean, he's ranked 7th in the world, so
okay,
yes, you're right.
But I mean, any like top 50, we could even go farther back.
It's
in
like
the
him and
ranking.
Sungjae.
He plays a ton. I don't know whether he wants to get out of the house. Or,
he likes golf.
Yeah, he just
likes
loves
Monday.
it. Yeah, they love it. They love it. And she encourages him to go too.
Well, she's there.
Either way, I made my point. I've used too many words to make it. Let's reel him back. Torrey Pines, help me. FedEx Cup playoffs, WGCs,
the Masters.
Like
he's won 3 WGCs, I think.
His last like 4 wins. Am I forgetting like a lower tier win? Because it's been a while since he's like brought home the Wyndham.
That was his first win, I think.
Or he's lost in a playoff at TOC. Like,
let's
his
see.
wins are pants.
Yeah,
man.
so his past few wins, like he wins basically once a year. He won Torrey Pines, he won WGC Mexico, he won the FedEx Cup playoffs, he won the Masters, he won FedEx Cup playoffs, Tournament of Champions, WGC. Those are his past wins.
I don't know. Am I onto something?
And it's like one a year.
Yeah, and those are the events where everyone's there, and he's 35, 40 to 1 now.
I think this one's a little bit different. Solely because the lesser tournaments that you see,
I love Patrick Reed.
On the
you
PGA
give me
Tour,
a nugget, I'll take it.
It's just very rarely do you like. We tend to agree that Reed tends to do his best work when the conditions are hard. He plays hard courses really well.
Most week in, week out, it's
most of the alternate courses where you see the lesser fields aren't tough courses.
Yeah, they're resort
They're birdie
courses.
fests.
Yeah.
So that does not necessarily. I mean, it can play if Patrick Reed's having a good week. Absolutely.
No, I love.
But it also brings in the Chase Seiferts of the world, or the Matt Jones. I mean, Matt Jones is a
Chase Seifert, big number.
Big number. There's another guy down there I like a little bit better, though. But just when you see Reed pop up, it's generally at more difficult courses, and the lesser events on the PGA Tour aren't usually as difficult as Valspar tends to be. And this is a different time of year. I don't know how the greens are going to roll because it's 5 weeks after than it's historically played. Maybe the course plays a little bit different. That is kind of unknowable until we see it.
I like you putting on that caveat because that's important. Because I was ready to roll with like those last 7 wins. Those guys, like the term "big game hunter," that was that resume.
Yeah,
and little hunter is Morikawa. I don't mean little, like he's just got half of it, but he's done it quick. He's done it quickly.
Yeah, and he had the one win at like the alternate.
We all got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Barracuda, Wyndham, we all got to start somewhere. But then it's been WGCs, Memorials, Majors.
2 wins at Jack Nicklaus. 3 is Barracuda Jack Nicklaus?
I don't have a clue.
Because Muirfield Village in the concession, both Jack
I heard
Nicklaus.
97% of courses are Pete Dye or Jack Nicklaus.
Well, I mean, 100% of courses we've played like the past 2 months have been Pete Dye courses. We only have 2 left on the schedule. We got Travelers and the PGA Championship.
I don't want to ignore Victor.
I don't want to ignore Victor or Casey, or even Answer and Henley and Scheffler, who I all think are fine plays. The guy I'm the most interested in, though, is Sung Jae. I spoke about Dustin. Once he figures out the irons, all of a sudden it's kind of game over for everyone else if he keeps this putter going. Sung Jae was kind of doing the same thing all season. The driving, off the charts good. The putting, off the charts good. Couldn't hit an iron to save his fucking life.
They're back.
They returned out of nowhere at the Heritage. So now he's getting a bunch off the tee. He's getting a bunch on his approaches. He just needs to putt, and he's already won in Florida. He's another guy. And this course in particular, the one thing about Sung Jae is he has good distance, but he still hits every fairway. He's top 10 on the tour in terms of fairways gained. So he's not going to get himself into a ton of trouble. Listen, the irons can go away just as quickly as they can come. But he gained over 3.5 strokes on approach at Heritage for the first time since Kapalua, the first event. This guy plays basically every single week. Yeah. So if they're back, you're catching a good number on Sung Jae. What'd you see, a 34 out there?
I saw 34 out there.
So I'll be in on that.
It is tasty. And here's the thing. Let's rewind this to the start of Florida. We were salivating for Sung Jae. Like salivating. You didn't care the field strength. You're like, no, it's Sung Jae time. Florida. Well, now what? We're in the last leg of Florida.
Yeah, this is it.
We're not done. We're gone.
For Florida.
And I don't know what's going to happen next year with. I assume hopefully they'll be back in Mexico as a plan.
I don't know.
So whatever, irrelevant. So sayonara, Florida. Sung Jae, man. There's a 34-1. You shop it. But even the 28, 30s, like I think those are very live and fair numbers.
We get on this range.
Hovland is shorter than all of them.
Yes, he should be.
But in the same sense of Connors, which I spoke about before, I ended up betting him at Torrey Pines.
He almost won.
He almost won. He went over the same green twice.
Yeah.
And that's not Bay Hill that I'm talking about, where he went over the green and hit something.
No, it was the same shot on Torrey Pines 2 days in a row when he hooked it to like the bushes left.
But the whole thing was like, I don't know. It's like, can he scram? Like, it's like, are they smaller greens there? Or they're just the same amount of like really long par fours?
Just long par fours.
And it's like, yeah, I'm worried about the scrambling. It's maybe the same extent that you would be maybe if Connors got out of position. But if I'm betting on Victor Hovland, no, I'm literally betting on unconscious greens and reg.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because outright wager means ceiling golf. Ceiling golf for Victor means unconscious greens and reg. It means we get our 4-footers and once or twice a day, at least, maybe hope once, a 22-footer, and we got to make a clutch par save on the weekend. But ceiling golf means I'm not out of position. And when I am out of position on the weekend, I'm able to make something clutch happen because that's how you win.
That's actually what I was really impressed with Higo about when I was watching him. Like when he would miss a green, he seemed to have the confidence to know that I don't need to put this to 1 inch and go tap it in. I'm just going to leave myself 5 feet, and I'm going to make the 5-footer every time. And he just stood over it very comfortably and just, boom, dead center, walking him in. And that's what you see from Patrick Reed when he wins. That's what he did at Torrey. It's not like the ball striking was out of control at Torrey Pines. He just got it up and down every time and made every 6-foot putt. Because when Reed wins, that's what he does. That's what he
Berger, Leishman, those guys that just par seat like. Yeah, and I guess all winners do that. The week's over, you see the 8-foot par save, 5 to 10-foot par save stat.
But when you're mapping out how a player wins, like when Connors won at Valero, it was, I mean, he gained a tremendous amount of strokes putting that week, which is very atypical for him. But at the same time, he won the tournament the way that you would think that he would win the tournament. The driving was really good, and he led the field in approach. Like that's what you're gonna. That's how you're gonna. And then he made his putts that week.
League median putting for the week.
You know, he actually gained like 12 strokes.
So fine, but you're probably.
But he was making 15 footers that week, and then if you give yourself enough 15 footers and you start hitting them, you're going to win.
But we always said it, like when Scott or Hideki, like no, if you get median putting from them, you are going to be gravy.
So Hatton and Im for me, 28 and 34 to 1.
Very fancy situations. I'm in on Hatton.
Yeah, I'll keep burning.
I like him.
Hatton's been too good to us.
There's another guy that's in that right beside M that I like a lot. And I'm tempted for Scheffler, whose form continues to
Is it 30
well.
to 1 and above, or is it someone we have to talk about right now?
No, we got to go above. So
Okay.
I'm just waiting.
So let's go to that range. The next guys above Joaquin Niemann is at 33 to 1. And then you have Louis, Kokrak, Griot, Hoffman, then in Palmer, Rose, Tringali, and Kirk, 50 and 55 to 1. Kokrak and Niemann obviously have the most interest for me in this range. Kokrak a lot because he just played this course really well, and he's playing really good golf coming in. He
missed a win here, right?
I had money on him.
You were going into
Same number too, 40 to 1. All he had to do was get it up and down on 18 to beat Paul Casey. Bogey.
He made
But there's two guys, actually. I mean, Hoffman rates out number 1 in the modeling this week, and he's had some good runs at this course before.
Form player, his form continues.
But the two players, I mean, maybe it's just name value alone that I really do have a lot of interest in. This feels like a really good Ryan Palmer course to me. If you're going to chart out how Ryan Palmer can win an event, it's not that he's short-siding himself and needs to get it up and down from the bunker, but the driving's been good, the irons have been good, and the putting hasn't been an abject failure, and he continues to play pretty well. Had a nice Masters, too, and is Rose back? Because he was carrying that Stenson team.
Carrying it. I don't mind Rose.
50 to 1.
Rose.
And if you could draw up an event like for like classic Justin Rose when he wasn't playing a major or a WGC, if he was to go to, this would be the course for him.
Well, this was the Stenson 18 to 1 event forever.
And any course that's good for Stenson usually tended to be good for Rose as well. Look at the Olympics.
And someone who we'll get to in a little bit.
I know, I see him.
Rose. I mean, going back to where he had to withdraw, like the form has been there where I might be really tempted to pull this 50 to 1 trigger.
It's a good number.
It is Joaquin Niemann, though, Pat, who really does catch my eye here.
I just feel
week.
like,
and even you mentioned I sort of made the Connors comp earlier, but yeah, I think Kokrak is one of those guys who. It's okay. The Connors stats, they are certainly unconscious. So maybe it is unfair when I do say this sort of stuff. But I do believe there are a handful of players who are doing very similar things to Corey Connors, getting 0% of the name recognition at the moment or TV time or hype that Corey Connors is getting.
Can I just make this an easy sell for you? Here's the 2021 for Jason Kokrak so far. 35th, 56th, 29th, 32nd, 9th, 8th, 9th, all Florida tournaments, 49th at the Masters. Gains off the tee and on approach. The putter hasn't been an abject failure. It's actually been quite good at some tournaments. And when we go back in time and we figure out how has Jason Kokrak done at the Valspar Championship over the years, 2nd, 8th, 58th, 7th.
It's like the same guy.
Yeah, 40 to 1. That's why I'm not betting on Niemann, because I'm going to bet on Kokrak instead.
Okay, fine. I like... Niemann might be just me being cocky. I don't want to say calling it because I think the course fits. Like it's not like there. It's not like 22 to 1 where like I'm just trying to like project the win. I think the number is fair on Niemann, but Kokrak is doing everything Connors is doing without a hole-in-one on TV at the Masters.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Again, I'm picking on Corey Connors. No, I'm just.
They're both doing the exact same ball striking thing. They're both gaining on the greens when they normally don't. And they're both horrible around the green, but you hope that they don't have to chip a lot or get lucky one week.
And in a world where the situation was reversed, I'd be picking on the other and be screaming for the other.
I think that's, like I mentioned before, I think that is the perfect comp at this course with these numbers, is that you get Jason Kokrak for more than double the number of Corey Connors when... By and large, they're very much the same player. In fact, if you really wanted to point to it, Kokrak has had more success the past year. He won like a real event.
And I know I said it earlier with Siwoo, but I imagine Kokrak is probably 40, 60 points higher than...
No, even more. He's probably like 1hundred to 1
to win the PGA Championship.
Because we looked at what Connors was, 50?
Yeah, something. It's getting stupid. It's getting stupid. But in that note, now I'm not trying to make like I might be pulling the string really far now in terms of guys playing well who have Connors type credentials. But what about Griot?
No.
Or just sort of Heritage is a blip? Because
No. Heritage isn't a blip. Griot's been playing well, but
he's going to give the middle finger to the hole on Sunday when
maybe.
he misses
But
a six-footer?
I would say that the big difference between the two, because I agree that their games are relatively similar when you look at them, is that Connors continues to level up. Each year that we've seen him, he's gotten better and better and better. Griot's just been the same guy for the past 5 years. He's good, but he's not great.
Nothing has changed. He gives the same amount of flirting. And he's still going to, like I said, flip the bird to the hole when the 6-footer doesn't go in that he thinks should have dropped.
And the other thing is, like, when you see Connors and even Kokrak to an extent as well, is that they're doing it against real fields. Like, most of the best Griot performances, I mean, he has played really well at Heritage along with Connors, but, like, the Puerto Rico Open, like, there's a reason that he's in these alternate events, and Connors is not. He's top 10ing at the Masters.
I agree. Kokrak, that win at not the Zozo, the CJ Cup was the strongest field non-elite win out of COVID. Every time we had an elite field, which that was, the winners weren't north of. Berger's like quick win might have been like a ceiling number.
It was
but
40.
You quickly realized, like, no, he's good again.
But 28's the magic number, though. That's why I bet Hatton at 28. That's
Now,
a Webb at 28, a Dustin at 28.
I do want to say, like, if you like a guy and you want to go there, go for it. Guys win ahead of their, like, what I think is their fair betting tier all the time.
In fact, if you've ever bet on golf and hit a winner, you've bet them at a worse number than they're probably actually percentage to win.
Yeah, because you saw something probably in the lead up to that event. Like, I don't think it was 30-1, but like even Homa at Riviera. Like, we were like, no, that tier, like the guys that were at 50 at Riviera, you were like Adam Scott, or I'm probably forgetting other like really strong players. Like, no, Homa shouldn't be in that tier of betting odds, but
then
no,
he wins.
It all pointed and hey, there it is. Congratulations, Max. Hopefully I'm eating a donut on Monday to celebrate Corey Connors. Well, not actually, but I'd be happy doing it.
I'm leaning more Rose versus Palmer, almost based on the same argument that you just made with Reed versus
Win?
I'm betting them to win, and Justin Rose wins. At least I've seen, like, Palmer's won. I mean, he won the team event with Rahm last year, but before that, it had been since 2010 since he won. I like Ryan Palmer a lot, but I think that now you fudge the lines between what's a good DraftKings play, what's a good outright bet to win at 50-1. I think I'd feel more comfortable with Palmer on my DraftKings team, but if I'm going to make a bet to win, like Rose he might tweak his fucking back and withdraw. But if he's there on Sunday, I feel confident that he can keep it together.
I totally agree.
So Rose at 50 will probably be a go for me. So that gives me Hatton, Im, Kokrak, and Rose. And honestly, everyone else from 100, like from 50 to 100-1 in this range, I like. Nothing really stands out as a significant value to me. Woodland, 80-1. I bet Woodland at 80-1. If you look at Woodland's like ball striking numbers, they're back. The putting and chipping hasn't been good, but club down course with Gary Woodland. He's won here before.
This is it.
And if he's actually back and from this injury, realistically, like there shouldn't be a huge discrepancy between Kokrak and Woodland in like that sort of player. But is that the guy that you were going to talk about? That's sort of like the even lesser version of Connors at the moment is Woodland?
No, I think that was Grillo. But the guy I meant was like, remember how like Stenson was the perfect guy? And then you mentioned someone is like, well, if it was good for him, if it was good for Stenson,
it's good for Rose.
Yeah, and I was like, there's someone even deeper who, if it was once good for Stenson, it's good for Gary Woodland.
You might want to tighten up that mic now that you've bashed it in.
Oh, I bashed it twice.
Getting fired up for Gary Woodland.
No, listen, it's this used to be like the Woodland sweet spot that he never came through at.
But he won here before.
Yeah, that was
ages ago.
Way before. Yeah,
but this would be a nice get back on track for Gary. And again, if you just look at the ball striking numbers, they're good. Like they're not him winning the U.S. Open, chipping everything in good, but you know it's the driving you expect, it's the irons you expect. Hope to get a good week. I think this is the tournament where he had the 3-putt on the 30s. He was inside the cut. He was the overwhelming chalk on DraftKings that week.
The 3-putted the
and
last?
He three-putted from like 5 feet on his last hole on Friday to miss the cut. And people were fucking triggered. This is also the site of where Full Keegan was born.
Yes.
First round leader to missing the cut.
You mentioned it you'd rather just be at other guys than Hoffman?
Yeah. I like Hoffman fine. It's like I like Henley a lot too, but I'm not going to bet Henley at 30-1 here. I'm not going to bet Hoffman at 40-1 or 45-1 or wherever the hell he's at. I think they're fine. They can most definitely win.
Tringali?
Same kind of thing. Like, you give me Rose. I just went down the Cameron Tringali wormhole.
Yeah.
I could have cashed out my bet at like 22-1 on him. I was like, he's got this wrapped up. Spieth ain't catching him. And he's just like, he's a fucking nightmare. All I had to do was cash out and I was good.
I think Kirk and Todd might have like come last on the weekend.
I don't care about that. Im and Ann missed the cut,
I know.
too.
I'm just trying to remember like how like Kirk Price still has that juice to cash every prop you want to make on him.
Sure. He's been fine. And like if I just look at the numbers. Now, I don't think the fairways gained are a great record. This is a very hard course to hit fairways. So
why is Bubba here?
Why is Bubba here? Bubba was top 10 the last time he played here.
Good for him.
No, you completely threw me off just saying names.
Hard course to hit fairways.
Hard course to hit fairways. So I think you can parse this one of two ways because we mentioned it's a club down course. The average driving distance is like 10 yards below what it is on most places. So guys like Woodland and Dustin. And I mean, Bubba rarely clubs down anyway. He's just going to attack with driver and you hope it's good that week. But even like Hovland and Scheffler, like they're going to club down and improve their accuracy. But if you are looking from guys at the back of the pack, focus on driving accuracy for those guys. Like I've hit 2 first-round leaders here in the past 5 years. One was Jim Herman at 175-1. One was Seb Straka at like... And like they're just different types of players. You want your long irons, you want driving accuracy. And when you get down to the 100-1 range and beyond, you want to pick a guy who does one of those things really well. And that's how you can find either your first-round leaders or your top 20 plays. So that's why I wanted to kind of get into when we get to this 100-1 stage, because I have 3 names written down that I think could play really well here for obviously different reasons. One is Seb Straka, who continues to get progressively better each year. He's been a first-round leader here before. I think he has a good mix of distance and accuracy and is really good from like 175 and beyond with his irons, which is going to be pretty key this week. I'm going back to my guy, the Gim Reaper. He continues to lurk every single week, doesn't he? He's 110-1. You can find him even deeper than that.
The Reaper.
He reaps. Now, we're not at a Pete Dye course where he's had a lot of success, but if you look at, now this is a guy in particular whose irons have been really good over the past 24 rounds, top 10 in irons, top 10 in fairways, and top 10 in good drives gained. Number 1 in proximity from 175 to 200, the most important iron range this week. Will he ever make a putt? I don't know. Probably not. But he continues to show life on these leaderboards. I believe in the talent, and listen, if it gets into a -3 scramble fest, probably not going to win. But I think he can make enough birdies at this course to mitigate some of the bad holes that he has. This is also the course which could lean yourself towards bad putters ending up winning here. And we've seen a mix, kind of. Obviously, Spieth, Hadwin, and Charles, really good putters. Paul Casey, not so much a great putter. But the second most 3 putts inside of the 5th most 3 putts inside of 5 feet of any course on tour besides Riviera. Remember how tilting that was at Riviera? You're like, 4 feet for birdie. Here we go. Miss. It's like,
3 putts inside of 5 feet.
Sorry, miss putts inside of 5 feet. Second most besides Riviera.
That's tilting.
And you're going to be watching, be like, oh no.
That's
and
like,
I do think that there is if someone goes and posts a score that's around the lead on Sunday from the pack, it's not a bad live bet opportunity, especially if you have a guy in contention, because they'll be hanging like, let's say Snedeker goes and posts, and he gets in on Sunday at like -7, and the leaders are at like -9 or something like that, just starting their back 9. Not to say that they're going to come back to the pack, but you might get, Jeff, I mean, if the Bear Trap has good PR, but the Snake Pit is where you want to be. So holes 16, 17, and 18, super fucking tough. You can bleed back strokes there. So the guy in the clubhouse might be at the advantage if he's a shot off the pace.
Agreed. I would say something to pay attention to, which is probably more realistic live betting situation, because I mean, that guy that's supercharging and threatening a clubhouse leader, I think the books would be onto by the time they post. If you're one of those, say, Thursday, Friday live bettors, do not make a bet on a guy
until he's in.
Like, if he just birdies the hole before the Snake Pit, and you're like, I don't want that number to get lower, it ain't going to move while he plays through the Snake Pit. Like, just let him finish the Snake Pit, and then decide if you want to bet him, or be hyper aware before you're making a live bet that the guy either has or hasn't dealt with that pit already. Because if there's a player you like, Pat, and he's like lurking and he's already played through it and he can just get hot coming out. I mean, the front nine it's not easy. That's
this course is not easy.
So I'm not portraying it like, oh, that's the problem. There's problems. There are multiple stretches of problems. There are long par fours, demanding par fours. If you are out of position on a par four that is thick, narrow, and tree lined at 488 yards, you're scrambling. Like, there's no.
Well, the biggest thing to look at here is that the par fours aren't long, but they're all dog-legged. I think that's why Bubba actually had a lot of success here the last time he played, because he can like cut off the dog.
But it's hard to get out of trouble.
It is really hard to get out of trouble, but the forced layups make those approaches. It makes the par fours seem a whole lot longer than they actually are on a scorecard, just because they're very long. I would say that the player to live bet, if you really wanted to look for it, would be grab the player who starts on the back nine on Friday, let them get ravaged through the snake pit, and then live bet them if you think that they were playing well before that. Because then you instantly get the easiest hole on the course at number one.
And they're usually, once a leader is established in the live betting market,
unless they do something to give it up, they're there for a bit.
I'm just saying that, like, once the tournament sort of has an established leader, like a number, a score, it really does affect how slowly they'll move on other people. I did want to say one thing. I'm not involved in the top, but the ability that Justin Thomas drive it into trouble, lay it up, save par.
That's a thing.
That is a real thing.
But that's almost exclusive to Justin Thomas.
Yes, I'm just saying. You mentioned like the drivers want and I know like if he drives it, he's in big trouble. I totally agree. But no one is better in that layup range shot than Justin Thomas is at any course on the planet, it feels like.
So Straka and Gim, I'm giving a look to. Gim, I will bet. He might be my only bet from beyond 100 to 1. I might play like a first round leader or a top 20 on these other guys. Straka and List, who plays these long par threes really well.
Hard course,
back on Bermuda, club down course. It fits the narrative of.
What's our number?
Yeah, it's like 200 to 1, I think.
Let's find it.
It's 175 on DraftKings Sportsbook, but that might be a top 20 play. Snedeker has played well at this course in the past. I also like him at harder courses where he doesn't need to be precise off the tee or with his irons. He can kind of scramble his way out of anything. And he's showing a bit of life recently, which I don't mind.
Okay.
And Horsfield might be a play, man. I have no idea what to make of his recent form, but it's been really fucking good.
No, he was there. He played on the weekend in Spain. He finished
I'm saying his recent form has been 3 top 10s and no finish worse than 15th in any start this year.
He always contends.
But how does that translate to this tournament?
I don't know.
I have no fucking idea.
He's a man. A lot of the times he goes off at pretty much every Euro event at like 20 to 1 now, I feel.
Yeah, he's been good.
I could be wrong.
If you want to look at the numbers short term and you're looking for a sleeper, Kazire still rates out well after the debacle that was the RBC Heritage.
I'll give you short-term sleeper. I don't even think he's listed.
Tom Lewis ranks out inside the top 50.
You know I'm a sucker for Tom Lewis, but that's not it.
I skipped over Lucas Glover as well, who's playing really good golf right now.
Short odds. Because anytime I mention Lucas Glover, you reply to me with...
I agree with you. I'm not betting him.
But can he win?
I agree with you.
Sneaky DK, like if he's going to be forgotten, which I doubt... he's priced lower than I thought he would. Unless this sheet has a back end, which it doesn't. This guy is not listed unless I'm blind, which I am. And we want to talk short-term form. You're probably going to laugh me off this one. This team, I could make the case, could have been in there, probably should have posted at 20 or 21.
Oh, my God. You want Warinsky?
No.
You want Keith?
Yes. They made bogeys, 2 bogeys in best ball on 2 bogeys in best ball. I think the Hovland team too did also on Saturday. Killer Keith, Bermuda, huge. It's probably a huge number because I don't even see him on the printout.
He is playing. I can confirm that for you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's an important first step.
Yeah.
He is playing. I knew he was playing.
I don't hate that because I mean, logically in my mind, I got there when you were saying it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I think it was 200, 150. I guess it's so big you shop it.
He's 150 on the one I'm looking at right now. Yeah, I don't see.
But on DraftKings, he's probably 200 or.
On DraftKings, he's not any better than 175. Yeah, I mean, I see Snedeker at 175. That's who his teammate was in that event. I don't hate that at all. Lewis is 175 though.
How accurate has he been off the tee?
Keith Mitchell?
Yeah.
Probably not very, but again, this is a club down course for him.
So that's my bomb du jour.
Now let's see. Arnold Palmer Invitational, 2.4 strokes gained off the tee, 2.2 at Honda, 2.1 at Valero, 17th. He's playing better golf recently. The irons have been dog shit, but he's putting well.
Listen, I saw him eagle 2 par 5s in a span of 3 holes, Pat.
In a best ball event?
In a best ball, so he's better believe he's worth
Put it this way, it's just like when you see me play like in a scramble, and all of a sudden I'm not slicing the ball anymore because I'm just trying to hit it as far as I can. And I loosen up my swing. Whenever I try to do that when I'm playing by myself, it's off to the right in some sort of field out of bounds. But, unencumbered from all the pressure of actually having to hit a good drive, I finally start hitting good drives.
Yep.
Anyway, that's where I'm at. Let's do the quick picks. Oh, you got more guys? Let's hear them.
Yeah.
Is it anyone you'll actually bet? Because if not, let's move on.
No, but
Then we're moving on.
Live or not live, he's not for me. This is an event McCarthy can win.
Sure.
Hadwin won here. Like, just do what Hadwin did.
Difference being, and people point to Wes Bryan at Heritage and Hadwin at this event.
Tell me.
They were playing fucking incredible tee to green. Like, they were driving the ball well, their irons were great, and they were just great at the time, like, for months leading into that event. There was a reason that we pegged Hadwin to win this event, because you looked at the numbers and you were like, holy shit, why is this guy 100-1? I don't see any, books are smarter about those guys now.
Okay.
4 years ago, they were not, or 5 years ago, sorry, they were not savvy to that stuff.
Good point. Also, only because they brought it up on yesterday's final round broadcast.
Now, don't believe the broadcast. They say things like Colin Morikawa is an elite chipper.
That's not what I'm talking about. They do this thing now, like they look ahead to the next tournament and like Faldo, Finch, and someone else gives you a player to watch, and they're not chalk.
Oh, good.
Or at least they're trying. Faldo gave Gooch.
Oh, the Gooch. They love the Gooch. Because it's not the first time they give out the Gooch on
I
this
don't know.
thing.
You know what? I think Faldo even acknowledged it's like, I'm going right back to the Gooch. So maybe he's on a Gooch run. But Faldo gave the Gooch.
Give him the Gooch. Get him to the Gooch.
Yeah, so I found that interesting.
Remember when Johnny Knoxville strip-lined his Gooch and Jackass?
It was Nobilo, who I think might have given Seifert. Nobilo's really trying to talk to DFS guy.
I like it. That's good.
Yeah, no, it is good.
But it also makes them sound not like idiots either. Now, they might get stuff wrong, but they're like, hey, here's this guy that maybe it's good for the CBS guys to do that. Because if my dad's watching at home, he's like, who the fuck is Chase Seifert? Maybe I'll learn more about, maybe I'll be excited to see Chase Seifert now.
It's just named Chase Seifert. It's just, you just hear that, it just clicks.
What other time would Chase Seifert get mentioned on a broadcast if he wasn't in first or second place?
I could be wrong, but I feel like that, it was someone really off.
I mean, Rick's in there at CBS now. He works with the CBS crew. Maybe he's giving them some notes. Shout out Rick Gaiman.
Yeah, Rick's the man. He's always.
This is also, just before I miss it, probably more of a DraftKings play to come up on tomorrow's show, but this is a pure Sabatini course.
Oh, yeah. He won.
When was the last time he won anything? Like 20 years ago?
No, they're talking about, they showed a picture of him winning a World Cup of golf with, I think, Ome and Done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back when back before he was Slovakia.
Yes, before he was Slovakia.
Before he was going to be.
And Day and Scott aren't going to be at the Olympics. I mean, maybe they're too old and rich to care.
Well, they're just not qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Smith and Leishman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's
good. You want to put your best foot forward for this sort of stuff. Baker Finch is the captain, I think. He's like the coach.
Of what?
Of each of the teams has a coach. He's the Australian coach.
They
mentioned that on the broadcast yesterday.
Coach.
I think you get a medal if they win.
I don't think you do. Because I remember Babcock or Pat Quinn didn't get gold medal. I think it's you must participate.
Okay, well that makes more sense. It's just it's that a coach getting a medal at the Olympics probably creates less frustration for someone like Cuss, who really thinks that the horse should get the medal in dressage, not the person.
I saw the Coca-Cola cans are out in stores with the Olympic insignia on it.
Well, they better hope that the Olympics happens.
So it's big Tim. It's Tim Coke can buying season.
Quick picks for the Valspar Championship. I'll release my cheat sheet on Twitter and in the newsletter on Wednesday. So once again, subscribe to the newsletter for that. Smash a like while you're here too. Hatton 28, M34, Coke Rack. I haven't bet it yet. I see the 40. I'm going to look for a better number if I can find one, maybe a 45, but 40 I'm still good at. We doing Rose at 50? Or am I doing Rose at 50?
I'm not. I got to look into that.
I'm
I'm with you on most of this sheet. I'm not there with Rose yet.
I'm deciding on that. I'm already in on Woodland at 80. I'll be in on Gim at 125 to 1 with the each way, and then I'll try to figure out some bombs as the week goes along. But that's what I'm looking at right now. How about you?
Hatton and M. And it was pretty easy, to be honest.
We're ride or dying together with Hatton and M.
Listen, I messaged you before I had it. I said that there's a 34 on M, and it is tasty. So I'm in on M. And I can't. Hatton's a real ride or die for me at this point. Although it's been a few weeks, I feel like, since I actually bet him.
Me too.
So maybe it's time. Maybe he can do me right. I literally like salivating for Florida for this guy.
It is our last shot.
It's the last shot. Yeah, it's coming. The Irons were in fuego at the Heritage. He has been playing. I don't think his struggles were as bad as people made them out to be, but there was like a blip in each round where he literally would double 3 holes in like a 7-hole span.
Yeah, he got a case of the lefts, and then he had to call up the Medicus guy to get him back straightened out.
The bomb that I'm really into is Killa.
I'll bet that along with you. I'll bet Killa Keith 200 to 1 or whatever the fuck it is.
Killer. And I could get back on that Luke List train.
We'll take a look as the week goes along. It might be more of a top 10, top 20 play, considering the guy has never won. Maybe top 10 is a bit.
But Neiman I'm thinking about, and I could even dip my toe low with Victor.
Okay. One and done picks of the week. Here's a case to get off of Victor. He's Tim's one and done.
That sucks.
I don't remember. I forgot to print out the sheet, so I can't remember who I've taken, who I haven't, or how we've been doing. I believe with Morikawa, I won the Heritage, so I'll go with him if I haven't used him, because I've used Hatton. I know that.
Neiman.
And I will update the cheat sheet if Jeff or I have used him or Neiman already at this year. Listen, I can't remember who I took 2 weeks ago. I took Morikawa, actually. Yeah. So
I took Answer.
And that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Custies next Monday. So golf will probably be Tuesday or Wednesday with us next week. Could be audio only, but I hope to have our setup in place, and hopefully the cameras arrive on the same time that they said they were scheduled to arrive. But I will be moving over the course of the next week, but do not think that doesn't mean there's a ton of content coming out. All of the draft stuff is out. DraftKings picks tomorrow. And then the final show that I will be taping in studio, and the first one to be turned around, Ben Raza, Cam Stewart. Kentucky Derby this week, my man.
Cam hit the Aussies.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Cam. Shout out Cam.
Yeah. Even saw Gabe thanking him for bailing him out of losing bets.
It's always nice.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah. Sometimes you need a quick bailout.
Thank you, Sky.
We're like the auto industry, and Sky's like the government right now.
So, Sky is my stimmy.
Rate and review the Pat Mayo Experience. It's gonna be weird not doing the show in studio with you. We've done it the beginning of the pandemic kind of helped this transition a lot, I think, because we did so many shows with you at home, and now your setup's way better. We did, for the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks before we were allowed to come back in, and we were legitimately terrified of COVID at the time.
Yeah,
that first month.
I like. Well,
it's fun doing it in studio. It's a different dynamic, but the one saving grace to this one is we've done the show with Tim on the phone so often. The one thing that you can't do is be on your phone the entire time and not listening.
It's true.
And you do it while you're sitting across from me anyways. We got to really keep tabs
Well, here's
on
the
you.
part. Listen, we're doing this show on Monday morning. I'm waiting for books to post odds. I'm looking. I'm not in a group chat.
No, I understand what you're looking at, but you also have to remember that if we're not in the same space, I can't fill while I see that you're looking on the phone, because I will ask you something and then you'll be sitting here like this. The camera will cut to you and you will be like this.
Yeah. We're good. I'm worried that as being the third wheel I will then be portrayed as the insane person.
Well,
But
we'll get to the custies. We'll see who won insane person of the year between you and Tim. That's
Wasn't close.
That's the first guy. You don't know that. I'm the only one who's seen the results so far.
That
is the first category up in the custies, which you can watch next Monday. Share that one around as well, and subscribe to the Cuss Corner audio podcast. It's only Cuss Corners up there if you're looking for a laugh and stuff that doesn't go out of date. Really appreciate you guys all sticking with us throughout this. Continue to support the show. We're gonna get Jeff set up to be. It's going to take some tweaking. We're going to get you a better microphone. We're going to get you a better setup, a better camera, all over time. Hopefully we peak right week 1 for football. But I do think that and Tim's not going to be in studio with me for a while because I don't have a studio space set up. It's going to be me at my house creating like sort of a one shot. So Tim's still going to be on the line when we do these shows. But we got schedule release coming out. Like it's going to be a lot of fun. We just have to not step on each other as much.
We'll figure it out.
Because we do the Zoom, and because I'm the host of the Zoom call when we do this, that I will always drown whoever's on the line out. That's just how the host of the Zoom works.
It
washes people's audio. Maybe we switch to Skype for audio.
I can just wait to be called on, and you can just see
No,
me
because it's
pop
more
in.
fun when you jump in.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be
Listen,
fun.
Tim's going to say insane things, and I'll be there.
I don't think anyone really noticed with our draft prop show when you weren't in studio last week, when I just randomly called you guys. So we'll be good. Thank you guys for all your support. Continue to support the Mayo Media Network. Check out the European Tour Picks and Bet Show Monday evening with Sky and Tom. Give them a follow on Twitter as well. Sub to the newsletter. Play in the Listeners League link. Play in the Listeners League. The link is in the description of the video and pod. Smash like, rating, and reviews. DraftKings show on Tuesday. Derby show on Wednesday. That'll do it for me. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!